Super Bowl and, of course, won the Super Bowl championship in Indianapolis with Peyton Manning as his quarterback. He was also the executive who incorrectly projected before the 2018 NFL draft that Lamar Jackson should play wide receiver instead of quarterback. He ultimately later admitted he was wrong, but that was one of the most egregious errors he had made. So that was number one. And that 5% opening about Bill Belichick not being a first ballot Hall of Famer would be another.
We're just making corrections here. Appreciate that, essay. Thank you. Let's move on to the NBA now. The Timberwolves took down the Thunder last night, 123-111, behind Anthony Edwards' team-high 26 points. As a team, the Wolves shot well from deep, knocking down 22 threes, which helped them overcome a 30-point night from SGA. The Wolves joined the Spurs as the only two teams to beat the reigning NBA champs multiple times this season. The Thunder are 2-5 against Minnesota and San Antonio. Wendy and Monica are back with us. The Thunder started out red hot, okay, almost unstoppable, truthfully. However, they have hit some speed bumps lately. I think was to be expected a little bit. But Wendy, how vulnerable do you think the Thunder are in that Western Conference?
Well, if they're going to be missing all these players with injury, they're going to be vulnerable. You know, they did get two players back last night, Isaiah Hartenstein and Cason Wallace. So they had been down 5 guys. They're still down 3 perimeter players. And that's made their margin for error go from the Grand Canyon to like 6-lane highway. They're 8-5 in their last 13 games, which is, you know, they showed that vulnerability. They ought to, you know, thank Dylan Brooks because he put up 40 on the Pistons last night. Had that not happened, they would be tied with Detroit for the number 1 seed. And while you may not think the number 1 seed really matters, I'll point out they won 2 Game 7s at home last year. But what's happened, the thing that you have to say about this Thunder team, if you're going to find where they're soft, they don't have great outside shooting. And in this last 13 games, they're 26th in the league in three-point percentage. And they don't have a lot of extra ball creation playmaking outside of Shea. And right now, they don't have A.J. Mitchell, who's extraordinarily valuable backup point guard. They don't have a couple other guards, including Alex Caruso, Jalen Williams. And we've seen that affect them and let their offense backslide. And you're looking at Chet Holmgren missing shots there. Chet Holmgren is having an excellent year, but his offense over the last 3-4 weeks has taken a step back. And largely, I think, because he doesn't have guards that are setting him up like he used to. So basically, like any team, you're going to face difficulties when you have injuries. But, their defense is backslid. Their offense is really backslid. And I will say this, the Wolves absolutely play them with no fear. They came out last night, dominated that game, completely controlled the tempo, completely controlled the physicality. And the thing about the Thunder, they now know when they go play the Spurs, which they do again next week, and they go play the Wolves, they would be playing a team that does not fear them. And that is important if you're trying to knock off a champ.
Essay?
Well, here's the deal. Couple of things. Jalen Williams, was a stud last year for them. They don't win the championship without him, even though we know Shea Butter is the man. But Jalen Williams is somebody we respected in 24 of 49 games this year. He's shooting, I think he's dipped about 5 points in his points per game average, and he's dipped about 7 points in his three-point shooting from 37 to 30% this year. So he's got to up his game. They started out 24-1. Over the last 24 games, their record is 14-10. They're an average team right now, and they've got to get it together. And like you pointed out, Wendy, shooting is obviously an issue for them. You understand, when you look at it from that standpoint, that's something, and you talked about Minnesota not really having any fear. All of those things are true. Here's what I would say, and it's a question for both you and Monica. Who has more assets than Oklahoma City? Courtesy of Russell Westbrook.
Here we go.
Courtesy of Russell Westbrook. Courtesy of Paul George trade, stuff like that, right? Clippers, of course, okay? Damn, Wendy, who has more assets than them? What the hell are you doing, taking the assets to the grave with you? I mean, what are you going to do? Going to get a shovel and bury it and hold on to them for dear life? What the hell is those stock options now? What is that? You got to use them. You got a whole bunch of assets. I mean, you talk about somebody this is a team rife with young talent. And on top of it all, you got a whole bunch of assets. If anybody, whether it's Giannis or anybody else, if anybody could go out there and get a player to add to the squad while having assets to give up, players and draft picks, it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm just sitting back and watching them, and I'm watching 2 7-game series. You had to go 7 games in order to win on your home court against Denver, against Indiana in the finals and stuff like that. You still got people believing, not me, because I picked them to win, but you have people believing Tyrese Halliburton doesn't go down. Indiana might have won that game 7. You got people that's believing that, okay? And you struggled offensively at pivotal moments last year. Denver gave it to you. They pushed that to the brink to 7 games. Jokic, you sure they can't do it again this year? That's why they went out and got some depth to go up against you, because they didn't have that depth last year in Denver, but they got it now. I'm just looking at Oklahoma City, and I'm looking at all of these assets that they have, and I'm like, you're just going to hold on to them, huh? You ain't going to do anything. I'm just wondering.
It's a fair question. I think. So, all right. One, I think we can't ever take for granted how difficult it is to win. Win one time, win back-to-back, all of that, right? And I do think that if this team gets healthy, they still will be one of the last teams standing. As far as adding, I mean, they don't have to go out and do a big thing, but I think they take so much pride in the culture that they've established, in the development program that they have. They bring guys through those ranks. I don't see vulnerable as a weakness. I think you're always vulnerable. It is the nature of the sport, right? Like, teams are always chasing, coming after you, trying to get you. I'm with Wendy, though, in that I want to see this group get whole. Minnesota is not scared. The Spurs are not scared. I don't think the Thunder are scared either. They, in my mind, want to battle the best to continue to prove themselves, but it's so heavily predicated on health. I'm not sure. I can think of a few fringe names, but I will say when you have a core like they have with SGA at the centerpiece, that culture is something that I think you have to be mindful of as you go and add pieces. But you're not wrong about the treasure chest that they have.
Wendy?
They do have pieces, and in fact, Stephen A. will tell you, for the first time in about 2 years, I'm hearing some Thunder chatter on the trade market in the last few days. Having said that, I don't think that that's something they're going to be aggressive about. Sam Presti, a couple of years ago, traded for Gordon Hayward midseason, thought it was a mistake, and has come out and said he doesn't really like the idea of midseason trades. But I do think that they understand that they have some challenges, and they're examining opportunities. I think that is right. I think Stephen A., your counsel there, I think they've heard that.
Okay, to Wendy's point here, 2 teams that do not fear OKC in the Wolves and the Spurs on Thursday night. The Timberwolves became the first team to never trail in a game against the Thunder all season long. Coming up here on First Take, will we put Sam Darnold in the elite quarterback class if he wins his first Super Bowl? You want to be here to see what everyone has to say about this. Plus, we've got the man, Becky Lynch, joining us next.
And now is going to be the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the most microscopic jobs in the league where all eyes are on you. Bart Scott, your thoughts on a guy who has never called plays in the NFL and is fresh off the playing field?
I mean, that job will make you famous, either or infamous. You know, it all depends on how you look at it. He's has tremendous opportunity with a lot of great weapons. Let's see what he learned in Green Bay with LaFleur and see if he can turn that into like a offense that can give a fresh look for a guy like Jalen Hurts. You know, Harry talked about putting him under center, being able to play with play action, being able to turn his back to the sidelines. But I think it's fractured there, and I wonder why so many veteran play callers did not decide to go there and take that job. From the outside looking in, it looks like a tremendous opportunity. You go there 1 year, you help win a Super Bowl or be in a meaningful game, you get a head coaching job the following year. Some people said no, especially Brian Daboll.
The names were Daboll, Mike McDaniel was thrown around there. There were several, whatever it is, what was actually on the table was a situation where the last offensive coordinator had his house egged by the fans, and, obviously the offense didn't get going. What can Sean Mannion bring to this team to get them back on track?
I think the first thing is not having the offense be so stagnant. There are so many times when we watch Jalen Hurts in this offense and guys being spread out within this offense, and the defense basically knows what's coming or what they're going to run. You're going to see a lot more shifts, a lot more motions, the quarterback under center, in which that helps the quarterback out and the offense entirely, and Saquon Barkley, because there are a lot of things that can go on when the quarterback is under center. I had Matt Ryan on my show the other day, and he talked about when you're in the shotgun and you're in the pistol, the defense can pretty much have a T on some of the things that you're doing, and you can cut down on a lot of things that you have to prepare for when the quarterback is in the shotgun and the pistol versus being under center. Your thoughts?
Is Jalen Hurts going to run the ball more? Because we blame the coordinators, and I understand that, but his design runs dropped off by about 40% this year, and he wants to preserve the body. Fine.